Hey, 4th and 5th grade. All right, so here is one of your first options for how you can finish your weaving. And you say, oh, well, how do you know that you're done with your weaving? Well, when you get really close to the top and when your weaving is really difficult to do because it is hard to pick up the warp threads and go over and under them, then you know that you are getting really close to being finished. And the way that you are going to finish this is, I'm just going to lift up this little piece because that was really hard to weave in. I'm just going to trim this off. Notice how I'm laying my scissors flat on the weaving, but I'm holding that piece up. You never want to come at your weaving like this because you can cut your threads and ruin your weaving. So you need to be really careful when you are trimming that last little piece. So when you're done and you have trimmed that last little piece, and this is what we've got, you are going to turn it over on the back and you are going to gather all of these warp threads, and right in the center, you want to cut them, okay? So you flip this back over and very, very, very carefully put your hand on the weaving as you do this. Pop these out of the little notches that we made when we first did our loom. The little cuts that we did in the mat board, you're just going to pop those out, but keep your hand on this so that you don't accidentally pull this out of your weaving. That is possible, and that's bad if that happens. So we don't want to do that at all. So keep your hand on it when you do this part right here. You just pop those out, and it will release your weaving from the piece of mat board. Okay, so once it's like this, you can do one of two things. You can just plain old knot the ends, and all you have to do for that is just take two and you act like you're going to tie your shoe. So you take two and you cross them just like you were going to tie your shoe, and then come through, pull all the way to the weaving. You want to make that the tie part of it come all the way down to the weaving. Do that same thing again. Cross, just like you're tying your shoe, pull until it's a knot, okay? So there is a really tiny little knot right there now. That is not going to come undone, okay? So you're going to keep doing that with your pairs. So pairs meaning two, take two, knot it together. Remember that when you tie it, you'll want the knot to come all the way to the weaving, and you have to do it twice so that it won't come undone. This will lock your weaving in place so that it will not unravel itself. Okay, so once you have done one end, you have a choice. And by the way, if this little thing happens like this, where there's a little piece left over, just leave it, okay? So I've got my pairs knotted down here. So there's a knot, there's a knot, there's a knot right here. It's not gonna come undone. I can do the exact same thing down here, or I can attach a hanger. So when I attach a hanger, I'm going to straighten these out kind of like the little hairs. Your hanger can be a pencil. It can be a twig if you've got like a branch. Now you're going to have to go out and find this stuff. If you want to have a hanger, you have to provide that. I cannot provide all these twigs and pencils and things for that. I found this in my yard. I'm gonna cut it slightly bigger than my weaving. So this little piece of twig is gonna be the hanger for mine. And all I'm gonna do is just very carefully weave it over and under at the top. So you can see I've got it woven in. And now I'm going to take my pairs, one pair at a time, start with the first two, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did at the bottom. I'm going to tie it, and I'm going to tie it again so that it creates a knot. And do you see how it tied my stick in place? Okay, so then I need to get the next two. I'm going to do the same thing, tie those, and create a knot. If you don't want to do the stick or the pencil as a hanger, if you don't want to have a hanger, you just tie your ends just like we did down here. Okay, so you keep going until you have tied that, and it is not going to come undone. This little knotty piece right here, like you can trim that off if that's bothering you. Those little pieces don't really bother me that much. So then you'll have this, which looks like that. We need to make a little hanger for that. So I have another little short piece of yarn, and I'm just going to make a little loop and slide that over and tie it. Tie it again so it's a knot. Okay, same thing over here. You see I'm making a loop on my finger first. Made a loop. Thread it over, tie, and tie again. Okay, so that becomes the hanger for my little weaving. Okay, when you hang this, wherever you want to hang it, or if you want to hang it, you would just use the little piece that you just attached to hang it from. So those are your first two options, just doing knots at both ends or knots at one end and attaching a hanger to the other end. I hope this makes sense. If you need to go back and watch the video again, feel free to do that.